All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, part two of the evolution video series, and this time we're looking at geologic time and how it's broken up based on extinctions and major life events. So, when we talk about geologic time, we break it up into units like eons and era and period and epoch. And these units of time are not equal to a certain number of years. Instead, they're divided based on those major events. So when we say eons, that longest period of time, we really only have the two biggest, Precambrian and Cambrian. Pre meaning before. So Precambrian comes first, Cambrian comes second. And what separates it? Well, it's really large, complex, multicellular life. So we have the 4 billion years or so that is the first chunk of history where life is simple and not very complex. And then we have the last couple 100 million years where life does have complex structure. And then we have eras. Eras are that subgroup, and we've got like 9 of those where we talk about different categories of life. So the Paleozoic, meaning those like ancient sea creatures, Mesozoic, like dinosaurs, Cenozoic, that modern life. So we're breaking hundreds of millions of years into giant groups called eras. When people say the end of an era, usually they're talking about something like, I don't know, the retirement of a really beloved basketball coach or something. But in biological terms, when we talk about the end of an era, we're usually talking about extinctions. I don't just mean a few organisms disappearing off the face of the earth, like, I don't know, one species of Tyrannosaurus rex, which extinction can refer to any one species going completely out of existence and no living members left, but a mass extinction event. So if you look at this graph, you'll see we have about 5 major mass extinctions and a bunch of little smaller ones. But that's when we have an enormous drop in the biodiversity of all life on Earth. This is a cool video link if you get a chance to check it out. But basically, when there is major global climate change, I'm talking some huge shift in the temperature of the planet, several degrees, or warmer or colder, organisms have a hard time surviving. And so that struggle to survive as the climate changes wipes out many species of organism. And so you can see over 50% of all diversity of life, different species on Earth, just die out in certain periods of time. So what causes these changes in the environment? Well, there can be gradual ones. So shifts in atmospheric gases. There's actually one mass extinction that's theoretically blamed on plants suddenly sucking up all the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, turning it into oxygen, and causing global cooling. Kind of a weird idea, but that would be very gradual. It would take thousands, if not millions of years to happen, but the change could be still so dramatic that it could cause mass extinctions. Or much more sudden. So the meteor impact theory that is associated with the extinction of dinosaurs, that would be very sudden. I mean, the impact of the meteor would be almost immediate, but even organisms that would be far, far away from the impact of the meteor might also still die out due to the giant dust cloud that could cause a cooling of the atmosphere from sunlight being blocked by all that dust being kicked up. So either millions of years or maybe just a few hundred years. 100 years is a very short amount of time, geologically speaking. So then we have this idea of adaptations. When the environment changes, organisms could have certain characteristics, certain traits, certain physical, bodily parts that help them survive better in their new environment, or maybe they help them survive really well in their old environment and don't help them as much in their new environment. So whenever the environment changes, if an organism doesn't have those correct adaptations, they're going to die off. But any organism that has the correct adaptations, they're going to live on and have babies, and that branch of the species will survive. So when we break up geologic time, we're always looking at when was there a big change in the Earth that caused a huge shift in which organisms survived and which ones died. And whenever those extinctions take place, we find that there's going to be this new environment full of new organisms with new adaptations to help them live in that place. All right. Thank you very much, and look forward to video 3.